Hey, Stuart here. This video I'm going to talk about beer bellies and how we actually get a beer belly. It's a question I've been asked many times because it's a bit of a strange phenomenon, isn't it? I guess most importantly, the question to answer is a beer belly caused by drinking too many beers, as their name suggests? So what is a beer belly? A beer belly, the way I describe it, is a gentleman who is carrying way too much weight around the midsection, particularly at the very front of the stomach. So it tends to be very disproportionately sort of large, hard, sort of almost pregnant looking stomach, whilst the rest of the body is a lot leaner. So that's what I mean by disproportionate. It is out of proportion. For some reason, there's just a lot of localized fat around that sort of midsection area. And that's really what I would term as a beer belly. So how do we get a beer belly? Is it from drinking too many beers? As I said, is that what causes it? And as I said, it certainly doesn't help. But what you need to understand what a beer belly actually is chronic inflammation. And chronic inflammation which has led to excessive amounts of visceral fat around the abdomen. And that's why health practitioners and medical experts will tell you that it's one of the worst types of obesity to have, because what it actually means is that you have a huge amount of fat, unnecessary fat, sitting around your organs. That's what visceral fat is. So it's a build-up of excessive fat that layers around your organs. So that's why beer belly is a bit strange, isn't it? Because when you're looking at it, it's not like jiggly fat, is it? It's sort of almost like rock hard, like a drum. And I guess that's what I'm saying in terms of medically, you definitely don't want to be having huge amounts of visceral fat around your organs unnecessarily. And on top of that, what's also happening there is chronic inflammation, because that's when you see swelling like that, it's as a result of chronically repetitive inflammation. So what's causing the inflammation is really the issue. So the visceral fat's one thing, but the inflammation's the other. And I would say that obviously alcohol or drinking lots of beer definitely doesn't help. But generally speaking, what it is, it's an inflammatory response to drinking too much yeast. That's effectively what beer is. So you've got an immune response, if you like, almost like an allergy. When you are drinking or eating lots of sort of wheat-based yeast type products, you will end up with, if you do it chronically enough, and chronically for a lot of people is, if you use the beer example, might be 6 beers a day or whatever it is, that causes that sort of build up. Yeah, generally speaking, if you're someone who has, or you looking at someone that does have a beer gut, that person does not have a very good response in terms of their body doesn't respond well to having this chronic intake of wheat-based style products. That's what's causing it. So really a beer gut is chronic inflammation that's just visible. You can see that the organs are swollen, the visceral fat around the organs is huge. That's the body's response to, I guess, chronically having something that it's not best well set up to process. If you got a big gut like that, you'd feel horrendous. You'd be, chronically tired all the time, lethargic. Everything would feel like an effort. You'd have this constant feeling of indigestion, probably getting heartburn and all those sorts of things. So, but the main thing to understand about what is a beer gut, it's actually got nothing to do with the alcohol, funnily enough, although, as I said, it doesn't help. But what's causing it is it's like an acute response to drinking and eating too many of those sorts of wheat-based yeast-style carb sources. And generally speaking, if you've got a beer gut from drinking too many beers, it means that your body doesn't assimilate those sorts of carbs very well, and you're basically having almost like an immuno-response to that chronic intake of what you're actually having. So whilst it's called a beer belly, you can actually get that from just eating too many wheat products as well. If your body type, you're not someone that does overly well on having huge amounts of that sort of wheat-based foods or drinking lots of foods that contain those products. So the best way to eliminate a beer gut really is to stop either drinking or eating those sorts of foods, and you will see over time, obviously, if you take the reverse way of looking at it, you're chronically ingesting it at the moment, take the opposite view and stop having it for a while, and I'm sure that you'll see that those areas will shrink down. But it's not actually specific to beer. What it is it's a chronic response to wheat-based, or I guess if you're looking at beer, it's yeast. So hopefully that was helpful. You definitely, if you are in that situation, want to do something about it, because as I said, medically it's one of the worst sort of biomarkers in terms of health and longevity, because it's an acute response to what you're actually eating, or environmental factors, whether you're drinking or eating the wrong sorts of foods for your body type. So hopefully that was helpful. Next time you see someone with a beer gut, you'll be able to tell them exactly what's caused it. Thanks very much. I'll see you in the next video.